All
Well,
right. We are live. Hey guys, it's us again. Still need a feedback from all you watching in. We're looking to settle the name on, I think it was DeFi Dudes or DeFi Degens, playing with the double D titles. So, all you guys watching our content, let us know which one you think we should roll with. So, back again, we got Bruce from DeFi Life, got myself, we got S Crypto, and DeFi Crypto Talk. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
good
Thank
to
you.
be
Thank you
back.
Thanks for
for
having us.
hosting this.
All right, so let's just dive right in and just get some organic conversation because the most pressing thing on the minds of everybody in crypto is this Sam Bankman fraud issue going on. So, what's you guys' take on any of that? How do you feel about it?
Well, me personally, I think, yeah, it's a big blow to crypto and DeFi, and a lot of people have probably left the space because of this. And it's more, for me personally, it's more heartbreaking than anything because we all work so hard to try and bring people to space, and then stuff like this happens, and it just really puts us back probably a couple of years, not just in price wise, but in development wise, on other people into crypto space. It's so difficult, demotivating as well. So it's hard to get back up and do all this work and get back again and cover this. But I'm here for the long run, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to pretty much chime in and say the same thing. It's unfortunate because I think that, this was really supposed to be a good year for crypto, and this on top of, the Luna stuff, and it's really just kind of pushed people out of the market. And I think we all can speak to, whenever you're just trying to talk about crypto to anybody in general, it kind of sometimes flies over people's head anyways. So now you introduce this where, people are losing a lot of money and their life savings and things like that. It's another obstacle that's been put in front of crypto in general. So, I think that there is some benefit to it. Obviously, people losing money is never a good thing, but I think it's really starting to filter out some of the bad actors. As we got in crypto, we started to learn what to look for. If it doesn't have a verified contract, we're not doing anything with it. If it's asking for keys, we don't touch it, stuff like that. So I think it's really going to make people be a lot more careful in this space and really set a different standard for what we're looking at. So hopefully, we grow from here and people give it another chance.
Yeah, facts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think, and the crazy part to me is how bad, we can have the greatest news in crypto and then, something like this happens and just, like you guys were just saying, just tears everything down. I've had friends who are not even in the crypto space. They won't talk about all the positives, but as soon as, something like this happens, they go, "Hey, did you lose all your money?" Which is unfortunate, but I guess that's the way it is. But I think we'll climb back. It'll just, it's just like you guys are saying, just another setback.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. I'm wondering, like, I was kind of, I can't say feel as bad because I guess I got hit hard with the Luna one. So I've been listening to the macro guys talk about we have another leg down, and ironically, Kevin O'Leary, one of the biggest supporters of FTX, and I used to listen to him as well, and he said we have to wait for like a direct quote, waiting for a big player to go to zero, and nobody expected it to be FTX. So for me, I was kind of like, all right, finally, it's here. It's like this is what we've been waiting on, but at the same time we know that it's going to bring some, yeah, catastrophic, what do you call that? Compound damage, basically collateral damage, because, yeah, I don't know what the extent is regarding this whole MIT, Gary Gensler and Caroline and all this stuff, but it's like if there was definitely some shady business going on behind the scenes with the crypto regulation and SBF promoting all that, it's like, yeah, that just does not look good for crypto as a whole. And listening to Michael Saylor, he basically, so he looks at crypto as like this abusive relationship that's separate from Bitcoin. So Michael Saylor is just a Bitcoin maxi, and he sees everything else as like not not related to Bitcoin. So he's only pro Bitcoin, and basically any other thing that's not Bitcoin is like causing all the problems and the issues. And I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see that from that perspective, because we don't have any regulation. You got all these bad actors in there. Essentially every token or coin created after Bitcoin was created with some kind of ICO or funding. So it's like if regulation comes in, it just doesn't look good going forward. But I know that the technology in and of itself, that's what I'm betting on, is going to be the game changer. So one way or another, I'm betting on tech and communities. And that's why I still think this is definitely going to be a game changer, but it's going to come with some collateral damage and maybe longer to climb out of this hole than we were expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think one of the things is, people talk about, oh, this might set back the bull run to 2024, 2025, 2026. And I mean, still, even if we get set back a couple years, what crypto can bring to the world is life changing. So that's something I'm willing to wait a couple years if I need to. I mean, blockchain technology is something that's different than anything we have right now. So if we have to wait a couple years and, we have to filter through some of this, I'm willing to stay.
Absolutely.
Hopefully everybody else is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think another way of looking at it positively is, for me, when I think back when I first got into crypto in 2021, and I thought, gosh, why didn't I get into it in 2019 or even a little bit earlier or something like that? Well, now the price is basically gone back to those prices from 2 years ago. So once all this crap is past, maybe a few months or maybe 6 months, I think it'll be all good.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in the same camp that I definitely think we're gonna find the absolute bottom from this, shit show that shaped up. I think that's the other positive thing. Like this, it's gonna wash out a bunch of other leverage and stuff that's in there, and the collateral damage that spreads. I think it says like 150 companies that Alameda Research and FTX kind of puppeteered or sprinkled in behind. So it's just like, all right, once all the dust settles from that, it's like there's not much else left, which is good. So we'll be at the bottom, and yeah, we can start climbing back, but it could just be a year or two later or something like that. But we still have the halving coming up in 2024. So who knows, man? Maybe it's this is the darkest before the dawn that we actually still get in another 18 months. So definitely still some hopium.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
All right. Well, that covers that. I think we had some ideas from Bruce regarding some drip strategy talks. So Bruce is all about data-driven metrics and throwing out some ideas on that. I think I saw something from you, a clip that you have coming out about whale tax, something like that. Is that in the same strategy mindset?
Yeah, I have a live stream later on tonight that I'm doing. It's my first live stream. So I'm just going to try it out. I've never done a live stream before. So I'm just going to walk through the whale tax and some of my strategies for beating the whale tax and long-term in terms of max deposit and max claim and that kind of thing. And I'm really interested to hear other people's strategies apart from mine. I mean, I have my own ideas, but I really love to hear people's different perspectives and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'd really like to hear your guys' perspective on your long-term strategy. My personal strategy is to obviously we get once I reach 1,000 drip in my first wallet, then I'll start creating more wallets.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've already reached 1,000 now. I'm probably going to create a new wallet this week actually, but I want to create like 5 wallets for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So once you hit 1,000 drip and then you create 5 wallets over the course of 12 months, it makes a huge difference in terms of, obviously you don't need to drain your original wallet with all the whale tax and everything like that. You can still take from your other smaller wallets if you need a little bit more money in the long term. So that's kind of my strategy in the short. Try and beat the whale tax.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. So I actually ran the numbers as well on the whale tax, and like I was looking at kind of the same verbiage of how to beat it, but there's really no way to beat it. You're just delaying it. So yeah, in one way or another, it's going to come back to get you. You just prolong the inevitable. And I also thought about the multi-strategy. So that was literally my first video because I got roped into Kelly Snook's calculator, and it's like, oh, okay, if you put in you're going to put up, X amount of dollars, split that over multiple wallets, because in the long run, you have more drip. And I've changed my tune since then. I'm like, I started with 5 wallets, so I still have them. But going forward, my strategy is just to max out, not quite max out, but not make any more wallets until I get to a point where I can just airdrop the second wallet that I already have, the third wallet. So I have people in my group that are asking the same thing. And I personally don't think it's a good idea to go that route anymore, because of the volatility in the market, because of the additional utility that Forex has to create. And the longer that takes to get created, that just means there's more and more max wallets. So technically, my new take on it is the more people, the more max wallets that one person has, basically just ends up long term causing the price of drip to stay much lower, because there's no incentive now to because of the draining of those tokens on the wallet, like to sell them, unless the lending and borrowing comes in. It just becomes an exponential drain on the contract having to be able to create that yield, which means the more tokens in wallets, the more tokens supply, the harder the price to pump. And yeah, of course, with a $2 drip, $5 drip, you can still make a couple $100,000 over max wallets. But basically, we would all love to see it go back to its previous glory. But if we're sitting with multi-millions of drip, it's never going to get there, because the minute it pumps, it'll just be sold right back off. So I'm on the anti-multi-whale strategy now, or multi-wallet strategy personally now. Even though I have multiple now, I'm like, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do it.
So what is your long-term strategy then? I'd like to ask, to start again from the beginning. Would you do one wallet and max that out? And then what would be your strategy once you hit max claim and
yeah, so I would go with one wallet, and then once I get to around 7,000 drip in that wallet, so right before the first tier whale tax, then create the second one to airdrop, but not airdrop in the sense that I'm trying to now build that up to another 10,000 or 50,000 or whatever. It would just be like a couple hundred per month, just so that wallet is building up. And then by the time the other one maxes out, I want to have that second wallet somewhere around that 7,000 mark again. So basically just laddering like one wallet at a time, versus like right now, it's actually a pain in the ass. I have 5 wallets and I don't even touch them. I was like, why did I do that?
Yeah. It's the same kind of strategy that I've employed, but I'm laddering up 5 wallets. Maybe it's a good idea just to do 1 or 2 and just having one wallet at the same time, not having 5. Because every time, my strategy is every time I hit 1,000 drips, so my first 1,000, I create a wallet. My second 1,000, I create a second wallet or a third wallet. And my third 1,000, a fourth, and so on and so forth, and just up to 5 wallets. But maybe that's a good idea as well, just to have create a wallet and focus on that. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. I think that's the whole game theory that Forex creates in this thing. It's like, yeah, you can play it so many different ways, and no one way is better than the other. But just from what I'm seeing now, and then watching people like Stunna and Ray and all them, like the guys that got in early, and how quickly they can make one now at where they're at, versus someone who splits all their money in the beginning, it just takes them that much longer to get there. And like I said, the longer this goes on, the harder that's going to become to see some really life-changing gains in drip. I believe 100% that Forex will continue to innovate and add utility into drip, and that's going to definitely help. But we need a bull run in drip. We need borrow and lending. Basically, need incentives to put that drip back in the faucet. You got literally 1.5 million, 1.6 million sitting in wallets. So even if all of a sudden there's one, what do we got in the faucet? The like 600,000 or something like that. So even if that's bought up, it takes 3 times to buy that up to get rid of what's in the wallet. So you buy it up, drip pumps to $200 a token, and it drops right back down to $2.50 that quickly, like literally overnight. So it's like, yeah, you have to get that out of there. And then so it's going to be a while, I think, especially if these kinds of strategies are implemented. But again, that's the game theory. So it's like, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I would kind of say go ahead.
No, it's fine. You go. Yeah.
I was going to kind of say the same thing. I got into drip day one, and, I wasn't always best about my strategies. I've always been fully transparent about that. When it first went down, I did sell a little bit, but I just think at that point, I really just didn't understand what I had with drip, and I was getting, rugged and stuff like that. But, I know if I would have invested all the money that I put into other projects, and if I would have compounded, I probably would have been very, very close to a max wallet at this point. But it is kind of concerning to see, how fast some of the max wallets can just start creating that cycle of additional max wallets. Now, my strategy is, I think in my main account, I have right around almost 6,000 now. But when I did hit, I think it was close to the 1,000 mark, I made one additional wallet. But I mean, I only plan on having two. I think, shout out to you guys for maintaining more than two, because I mean, I know switching from account to account and hydrating and stuff like that, and keeping up with that can be tedious. But I just have two accounts, and really my main one, my max account, I just look to max that out. And the second one, I really just compound and look to do really the same with it. But my big thing is, I'm not somebody that's going to sit there and, create a max account just to dump it and, have all this drip to sell at $2 or $1 or whatever it's at that point. I'm really kind of just betting on Forex, creating that additional utility, the lending and the layer 2 and things like that allowed me to be able to use that to earn more money. Like, a great example is the drip BUSD farm. Having that additional drip, pairing it up with BUSD that doesn't come from selling drip, and then using that to, gain a better position in the farm. So I'm all about the utility and using the drip towards actually making more money via not selling the drip. So, I mean, that's my strategy currently. I don't plan on making a third, fourth, or fifth wallet. I know a lot of people have a lot of different strategies, and it's kind of cool in a way because people have come up with so many different ways to use their wallets. Like yesterday, I heard that, some people had created a wallet specifically for dogs and one for pigs and, one for the drip garden. Mm-hmm. And people just really using it for a lot of different ways. And, I think that, Forex has created a system where we can do that. But I mean, my biggest strategy is two wallets, keep it simple, and, try to minimize my carbon footprint on the ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. I just do two wallets and that's it. And like you guys were discussing, I am also too concerned about how easy it is for those max wallets to make even more. But again, I think it's just waiting on that utility. But which we know, is going to come later on. But just gotta hang tight. And I'm simple. I just like the two wallets. I can barely keep my piggy bank stakes all done, even with the compound all there. So it takes me a little bit. So, but yeah, just two wallets is good with me. And I mean, I just passed. I think I'm at like 1,500 in one wallet. So I might have to take. And it's funny too, just listening to different strategies, because as I'm listening to everybody talk, I'm like, man, maybe mine is messed up, because I originally I was like the 5, and then we started talking about it. I was like, well, maybe I need to go down to 2, so, but yeah, I think two is perfectly. It's manageable, and I think it'll set me up for success in the long run.
Yeah, totally agree. Like I said, if I could do it over again, I wouldn't have made the 5. But I did that because I was looking at growing the team, and then I have this idea out here with empowering the impoverished. So I was like, okay, I can have these wallets and be able to donate back and all this other stuff. But I didn't see these black swan events, the invasion of freaking Ukraine and Terra Luna meltdown and just all this stuff. So it's just like, yeah, this just became a headache. So I would not do it again 100%. I would stick with the 2. And the same thing with the piggy bank stakes. Funny you mentioned that. Is like, yeah, I went with that and made a CD laddering kind of thing and thought I had a great strategy. And I'm like, no, this is actually just more work, just a pain in the ass. Like, it's supposed to be passive income. I got a full-time job of clicking compound and like all this other shit using my ledger. I'm like, I don't like this at all. Like, no,
Yeah, it can be a bit time consuming with all these different, especially just the animal farm and drip by itself. It's I got dogs everywhere.
Yeah.
Drip BUSD.
Yeah, and on top of that, you want to also keep track of like your profit and loss, right? So you want to track all this and find out, am I making any money? What's going on? The gas fees and all this stuff is like, man, like shouts out to Forex, a lot of game theory in here, and then like a lot of work and research you got to do so that this actually does work out as planned. If not, you're just kind of shot yourself in the foot probably.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's a really good point too, because it is a lot of work. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get caught up sometimes is, not keeping track of, your losses and your gains and, what you initially put in and what you're actually making every single day. Because, I get a lot of questions of, oh, is it legit that you're making this money off of the piggy bank? I did this and I'm making, 15 cents and I put in $500. And I think it just takes a lot of maintenance and a lot of upkeep to really see, the value coming from the system. So I think, if you have that time to be able to put into it, that's great. But I think that's another thing that kind of newer people who get in, they don't understand that it takes a lot of organization and tracking and spreadsheets and stuff to keep up with where you truly are in the ecosystem.
Facts. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
full-time job.
I find new people who get in to things like Drip or the Animal Farm or even other DeFi plays. For example, my brother just got in a few months ago, and we've been in for a while. But my brother gets in and he's just instantly addicted to hydrating and compounding, and that doesn't last too long.
Nope.
Maybe 3 months.
Yeah,
then it becomes a chore.
Yep. Yeah, I was in the same boat of like, oh, this is great. Even the people that I got onboarded, they were doing it. Like I have some guys out here in Cambodia, so I had to actually send them the BNB because they didn't have a Binance set up and things of that nature. And they're like, yeah, for about a week or 2 weeks, and then crypto's no longer positive, and there's nothing happening in their account. It's going down. They just kind of fall off, and they're just like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go back and do my real job and all that stuff like that. So that maintenance and dedication definitely falls out the window.
Yeah, definitely.
Crazy. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this like plays out going forward. You mentioned Escrow mentioned about the pig pen. Like that for me is definitely the game changer. I've run the numbers on there and then comparing it to other yield farms and what our potential is and all that stuff like that. It's like, man, that is actually a highly lucrative passive income vehicle. Like I don't know if he's going to continue with Stargate. Did the research on them. Technically, they're not tied to Alameda Research, but might have a bad taste in people's mouths, so he may not go with it. I don't know. But combining Stargate lending and Pancake Swap, and then like at least the bottom of the bear market being in, there's definitely an easy 50 cents a pig that can be generated in that, and it's like that doesn't sound like a lot to people. It's like, oh, well, what is that? It's like, well, yeah, you get about 50 pigs in your pig pen and multiply it over 30 days. It's like now you have essentially like a rental property that you're pulling in $500 a month or whatever. It's like, that's like at the bare minimum. As this goes up and the bull market gets back in, it's like this can literally create a truly passive income. And like in the pig pen, at least, that's actually passive. There's not as much work as it is in the rest of the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think I've heard a lot of people start to echo this recently. And I think it's a great point is, really treating the pig pen almost like a second faucet, because it really has some of those same mechanisms in it. You're getting paid out in BUSD, and then you're also getting the pig payouts from, I believe it's the animal
piggy bank.
Or the piggy bank taxes.
Yep.
So, with that, I mean, you're able to compound your pigs back into that and then earn that BUSD on top of it. And, I'm always fully transparent about what I do with mine. And, I sold a couple pigs, and, now looking at it and the payouts that people are getting, I really wish I would have held on to those pigs, because I even did a video about it. I think the pig pen is very, very similar to real estate. You park your pigs there, you earn that passive income off of it, and you don't have to sell the asset at all. So it's just, you're making that cash flow from it. And then, if pigs does pump, you're just getting more and more and more, and you've built your stake up there by compounding your pigs. So, I think the pig pen is very slept on.
Oh, 100%. What he built, like after finally getting this version 2 out, like he definitely has a solid foundation of a farm. I know there's a lot of haters on the outside, like, Forex just found a way to make you lock up your tokens and it's just this, that, and the other. It's like, no, you don't really understand the game theory he put in here and the foundation he's laying and showing. Like he iterates, right? So he builds something and then something else uses those pieces that he built. So he's actually testing things in real time with these different principles and pieces. So the borrow and lending that we're doing, the yield farming and loaning out your capital to, it's not really loaning because you still own the keys, but to PancakeSwap or Stargate is the platform and the foundation for what's necessary for creating smart contracts that borrow and lend peer to peer. And people don't understand that. So it's like this has to take place for him to build this into the next iteration of the platform. And it's already like insane the way he built this out. It's like, yeah, you pretty much, he's forcing you to essentially do what the wealthy people do and hold your tokens, hold your coins, or assets, I should say, and then take the yield and then live off of that 3 to 5% yield, and then continue to compound the rest into the system. And those that don't get it just kind of end up being sacrificial lambs, unfortunately, to the rest of the ecosystem. But it's like the game theory is there, and the system is put in place for you to win. All you got to do is just not wreck yourself.
Yeah, I love the whole idea about the animal farm. You take the native tokens and you don't have to sell a single native token. You can just stake them and from BNB. And that's, to me, that game theory is brilliant. And hopefully we can see out this bear market and prosper in the bull market once we've, got a good stake in the animal farm, living off those BUSD and BNB dividends. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, for sure. Like this leg down that we just got, like it actually didn't do anything to the TVL of the animal farm. It kind of stayed pretty flat. So it's like when you have a 90% tax on your asset, and then you have another one that's paying out a stable coin, it's like, well, yeah, why would I leave? Where am I going to go when everything else is wrecked? Can't go to cash. Right. And the exchanges are liquidating and bankrupt, right? So it's like, I guess I'll just stay here.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's another great point is, and I did a video on this too, is, the dog pound and the dog token. I mean, I think right now, and I hate to say the word safe in crypto at all. So, quotations there, but, the dog tokens, the taxes right now are so high. It doesn't make sense to sell the token. And then also you're making BUSD, BNB, and strengthening your dogs and pigs position in the farm by just holding on to it. And I think if you look at the chart, I mean, there's not any other charts right now, even if you look at blue chips that look anything like the dogs token. It's really just straight up, had a little bit of a dip there, and then it stayed pretty stable. And to sit there and be able to just stake that and earn BNB and BUSD off of that, and to be, performing better than a lot of the blue chip assets. I mean, I can't say enough about the dog pound. I mean, that's another great addition to the ecosystem that I've been loving the payouts on that as well.
Oh, for sure.
That's fantastic.
And we haven't even scratched the surface. I believe we're going to get a huge payout injection from around the end of December when people are about that 50% mark. There's still some haters left out from the previous issues that we had. So I know there's a lot of people waiting to dump around the 40 to 60% tax reduction range, which again is just great for everybody else that's not dumping, right? It's like, well, thank you. Now you're selling a token that started at $40 and now it's at 60, and you're taking a 60% tax, on it. And anybody else that's left in the dog pound, that's less tokens in the dog pound with those BNB rewards being paid to less stakers. Like, it's a win-win.
Yeah. Check out the paper hands.
Exactly.
Well, I guess with that, speaking about dogs, with dogs roulette being worked on and stuff like that, is that something that's going to change you guys' strategy when it comes to the dog token and being in the dog pound? Or you guys, risk the risky type to want to do something like the dog roulette game?
I think it depends on the price, maybe.
Yeah, for me, I'm not making enough dogs to go gamble right now. If I had more assets sitting in the pools and farms, maybe. But I won't be sacrificing any to that, even with 1 out of 6 odds. It's like, not really.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how that gets built out too, and how that kind of helps out the ecosystem. I know that's coming down the pipe in a couple months, couple weeks, or whatever. But I think it'll be interesting to see how that kind of affects the dog token and just the rest of the ecosystem.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I've heard Ray talking about this, so he's seeing it as a way for whales to cash out easier, or kind of, they didn't say whales, but basically to his wording was like avoid the tax, but you're still getting taxed. So he sees it as a way to bet some dogs, and if you hit the jackpot, you're willing to sacrifice all those dogs at 90% tax or whatever because you got 1,000 more or something like that. So, and plus they're getting burned. So I think definitely in regards to the game theory and pumping the dog token, for people that have huge positions, yeah, I think it'll definitely help the ecosystem. I don't, like I told some people on my stream or on my channel as well, I think like the animal farm definitely benefits the whales and locking up capital to generate yield and not kind of dump tokens. But for the small bag holders, it's a long game. Like you have to be willing to weather the storm, sit and make your 15, 20, $100 a month and just continue to compound. And then yeah, in 3 years or so, you're sitting pretty. But whereas if you're sitting with,
Yeah.
like Ray, 500 grand in a stable coin, it's like, yeah, it's a fun place to walk into casino and put it all on black. It's a very different environment.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely for the small bag holders, it's a long play.
Yeah.
So hopefully things pays out.
And that's funny because that's also the game theory, right? Because what everybody wants right now, we can look back at tons of projects that have rugged or failed this past year. And all of the people, Degens, want that quick flip. They want that excitement. They want the bells and whistles of the casino. So they see the animal farm is boring. They're like, I'm only making 100% per
Yeah.
year. Where's the 4x 4-digit APRs and stuff like that? It's like, I'm out. I'm going somewhere else and risk it for everything and see what happens. It's like, yeah, so Forex is definitely creating something different, but sadly the demographic and expectations of the people in crypto right now is like they don't want that. They want the YOLO Hail Mary, and a millionaire overnight. So they're not willing to stick around and ride it out.
Yeah, I think that those who have had those who have been burnt by rats can certainly understand that 0.5% on the animal farm and 1% on the faucet is perfect enough.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad we've moved away from that time because I think when we were in the bull market and seeing some of those farms pop up every other day, like you said, paying out like 400% in 4 hours, and whales hopping in and taking advantage of that. That was just a hard time, and I mean, I think that it's the same thing, and it's kind of crazy because it's the same thing now. I think they're kind of skeptical to get in even with the low APRs, but it's even more dangerous to get into those farms that have the high APRs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that Forex has, created this now to where this is more so what the standard needs to be. Is you hold on to your assets, you make money off of those, you have normal APRs of, even 0.5 to 1% a day. I mean, that's ridiculous anywhere that you can park money and earn up to 1% a day. I mean, there's not anywhere that's going to be able to do that in, a bank or a savings account. No one's going to pay like that. So I'm glad that he's just more so setting a standard of, this is what a farm should look like and making it innovative, of just setting that new standard for the space.
Right. Well, we're coming up on the 3-minute warning. We haven't heard much from you, DeFi Crypto Talk, but we'll get you to chime in here as we wrap up. You got any final thoughts you want to add on this?
No, I think it was a good conversation actually, and I'm sort of reevaluating my strategies, listening to you guys on the sideline, to be honest with you. But no, I think it's some good talk going on. I did have a question for you all. So, just real quick, how do you think lending is going to help? Just drip in general, and then what do you think that would look like? I just want to get your thoughts on it because I know Forex touched on it, but we don't really know, what exactly is going to look like. But I just want to get your guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'll try to go real quick. I think it's going to be something like where you have to have over collateralized drip. So maybe you use a max faucet or something like that, and that represents a stake, and you can borrow or lend out against that. And that would be a way to lock up drip. But honestly, I have no idea. But he did talk about over collateralized stable coins being something better than algorithmic. So I could see him doing something with that somehow.
Yeah, just a way to lock up your drip again, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this. They had the Mega Live or something yesterday like that. And everybody was trying to take a shot at exactly how this is going to work. And, you know, what I said is, this is why Forex is the big brain, because he's able to, you know, think through these concepts and make it all work and real, because I've tried to spin it in my head so many different ways of how he could make this work from, you know, the Faucet standpoint. And, you know, I'm still just trying to go through that in my head of exactly how it works, and haven't landed on anything solid yet. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see is, you know, once you get to a max wallet, is that still going to be something you're able to utilize using lending? So, you know, after you've maxed out everything you've claimed as much as you can, is that still going to have some use with lending or not? Or
Right.
is it going to be something that's more so, you know, it has to be liquid drip? I think there's just so many things that have to be worked out with that, but it's definitely going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much it for my side. I'll, you know, throw it back around round robin style. You guys, any parting thoughts? Got a 1 minute warning?
No, thanks again, guys. It's been great to chat with you and hear your strategies on long term for drip. Hopefully the lending will come through, and that'll be something to sustain the protocol for a long term. So nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah, same. Nice to be on again. Yeah, looking forward to next time. I'll come with some good questions for the next one.
Nice.
Definitely. Yeah. I just think, you know, I always say this as well on my Twitter is I just love, you know, being able to come together as content creators and as drip community members and really just talk about strategy, our ideas on things, because, you know, I don't think there's a lot of other communities that can say the same. So, you know, big shout out to you, Coach, for setting this up, being consistent with it. So just looking forward to doing this every week. So
Yeah, I appreciate you guys chiming in, different time zones, different spaces. And yeah, my big thing is collaboration over competition, and definitely Drip has that community aspect, and enjoy getting some feedback from you guys. So, and thanks to